Welcome to Narcissism, how narcissists operate compared to non-narcissists. In this video, we will be discussing what narcissism really is according to psychology and how to identify if someone around you is a narcissist. Narcissism can affect both the individual with this trait and the people they are in close relation with. Let's go ahead and jump in. First, to examine this topic, we must ask the question, what is narcissism? It is defined by Luttrell and his team as a personality cluster characterized by skewed self perceptions and excessive self admiration. As we will dive into a little bit more later, we also see narcissism as characterized by varying levels of agentic extroversion, neuroticism, and antagonism. Narcissists are commonly associated with very exaggerated self admiration, self centeredness, and distorted perceptions of themselves. There are two distinct types of narcissism, grandiose and vulnerable, which we will dive into more in just a little bit. Narcissism can be a personality trait that some people have more of a tendency toward, but in more extreme cases, it is what if it is prevalent enough to strongly and negatively affect personal relationships and self perception, it can be found as a diagnosis of narcissistic personality disorder. We are now going to look at some more characteristics of people with narcissism as described in the DSM 5 TR under the Narcissistic Personality Disorder classification. Narcissists believe that they are special and unique and can only be understood by, or should associate with, other special or high status people. They seem to be constantly preoccupied with fantasies of incredible success, power, love, intelligence, beauty, etc., so much so that their attention is often focused away from the people or real situations around them that they encounter. They are commonly interpersonally exploitative, for example, by using people they are supposed to be close with in order for their own gain. They also tend to lack empathy due to this, and they are blind to the hurt of others and the consequences of their own actions. They also require excessive attention and admiration in order to feel validated by both themselves and others. Lastly, we see that they have an inflated sense of self importance and a sense of entitlement in any kind of situation. They constantly see themselves as the exception. Now, this list is not at all exhaustive, but these are just a few of the most prominent characteristics of narcissistic personality disorder. The first category of narcissism, as we mentioned we would go into earlier, is grandiose narcissism. This is most likely what you think of when you think about narcissism, as it is the most prototypical form of narcissism. It can tend to be more outward facing in the sense that these people are more concerned with themselves being supreme and overconfident in many situations and contexts. It is characterized by high levels of extroversion and antagonism and lower levels of neuroticism. These characteristics and traits are taken from the Big Five personality test. Narcissists are characterized by their overconfidence, and there are three types of overconfidence according to Luttrell and his research team. These are overestimation, overplacement, and overprecision. These are all very similar as they fall under the same category, but each of these three indicate that narcissists are overly invested and confident in their abilities and relationships. In relationships, they can tend to be more exploitative, domineering, and more focused on their own self esteem.
We're going to be discussing vulnerable narcissism. We're going to discuss three topics: insecurity and hypersensitivity, self protection, and internalized suffering. First, insecurity and hypersensitivity. Vulnerable narcissism stems from deep insecurity, where individuals, despite secret grandiosity, are highly sensitive to criticism due to a fragile self esteem, leading to emotional distress. Self protection. Vulnerable narcissism is driven by self protection, as individuals defend their fragile self image against perceived threats. Similar to narcissistic rivalry, this defensive mindset shapes their interactions, often leading to trust issues and social difficulties. For internalized suffering, vulnerable narcissism comes with a lot of inner struggles, like anxiety and depression, and not feeling good enough. Because of their low self esteem and oversensitivity to criticism, they often turn to therapy to cope with their distress. Next, we're going to talk about interpersonal relationships. The narcissistic admiration and rivalry concept, NARC, model explains that narcissistic admiration leads to better social interactions and more trust, while narcissistic rivalry causes more conflict and lower trust in relationships. Feeling ignored or excluded plays a big role in this. People with admiration experience less exclusion, while those with rivalry face more rejection, which affects their trust in others. The churificated model also shows that the antagonistic side of narcissism leads to lower trust and more cynicism, while the more confident, outgoing side is linked to higher trust. Thank you for watching. This was presented by Emily Jenkins and Caroline Lewis.